Hi, Grandma. You probably know that our RV isn't insulated, so we started 2022 in the area of Arizona, where it's quite a bit warmer. From there, we headed towards New Mexico, and this is White Sands National Park. It was just beautiful. It looked like snow, but this is all sand. We couldn't go all the way to New Mexico without hitting Roswell and the UFO Museum. They made a pretty good case, I have to say, but probably still a weather balloon. Our next stop was Carlsbad Caverns. This is the best cave that we've seen to date. It just had the prettiest structures, it was the most elaborate, and it's massive. It's really huge. We kept working our way south, and our first stop was Hueco Tanks, Texas. This was an area with a lot of really well-preserved petroglyphs, and it was named this for these divots in the rocks that hold water. Once we hit Big Bend Ranch Park in Texas, we stayed along the Texas-Mexico border for quite a while. And there were some pretty areas, but this part of Texas wasn't my favorite. Big Bend National Park is prettier. This is some area right along the Rio Grande. And then there's some mountainous areas where we were able to do some hiking, and that was really nice. Continuing south and east, we ended up at Padre Island, and here we were able to camp on the beach, which was a unique experience. One of my favorite places in Texas was San Antonio. All the missions are here. Remember the Alamo, that whole story. And we were able to ride our bikes to each of these. It was really pretty, lots of great history, good food, and this was a pretty nice area. I'd been looking forward to Austin, wanted to love it, but it was pretty drizzly and miserable while we were there. Doug got out a bit. I really didn't see it too much. Houston's a very busy town, and the rodeo was going on, so this is a big deal. We saw Keith Urban here one night and had fun at the rodeo. We also went to the Houston Space Center, and it was great to learn about a lot of the space program history here and see the rockets, also the space shuttle. Galveston, Texas was surprising. The homes here are historic. They're really pretty. They've got these wood carvings all over town, and the beaches here were really nice too. As we continue southeast, we start to see these big birds, and we hit the Creole Nature Trail, and it's the first time we've been able to see alligators. All these were from the RV. I can't imagine being close to them. This is a place called Rip Van Winkle Gardens on Jefferson Island in Louisiana. It sits on this salt mound and really beautiful gardens. It was a pretty day here. We decide we're going to take this swamp tour in Breaux Bridge, and I was surprised how pretty the swamp actually was on this tour. And the locals were really knowledgeable, so it was pretty fun to go out in the boat and then see some alligators. We finally made it to New Orleans, which has this French architecture downtown, lots of music in the area, which we just loved, pretty parks, and they also have these above ground tombs where people are buried, so you can go and visit these. Kind of fun to check out. The other thing that was surprising was they have a great World War II museum. There's a scenic drive from Louisiana all the way to Nashville, Tennessee called the Natchez Trace, and we were planning to take this, but due to tornadoes, we had to make a lot of changes. So we started heading into places like Cloud Canyon and going through Alabama, checking out these waterfalls, into Georgia, saw some kitschy stuff like this thing called Ruby Falls. It has this really pretty light structure. This place was called Rock City Garden. It was built by a couple, and they had gnomes everywhere, this waterfall, and also they built all these like blacklight kind of characters like from children's fairy tales. It was really odd, but sort of interesting. After weeks of dodging tornadoes, we finally make it to the Natchez Trace Scenic Parkway. Now, when people would take their goods down the river from places like Tennessee all the way to Louisiana, this is how they would get back. They would walk this long road all the way back upriver to their homes. I really wanted to see Memphis on this trip, but it looked a little sketchy from a crime perspective. So instead we went to Tupelo, which was Elvis's birthplace. This was in Mississippi. He was born in this little house. Natchez Trace terminates in Nashville. We met our friends Cindy and Leo here, and they were nice enough to treat us to the Grand Ole Opry. The honky tonks are open all night, and the talent here is phenomenal. There may have been some drinking involved. Anyway, love Nashville. Next stop was Louisville, Kentucky, and I thought of you here a lot, Grandma, because the Louisville Slugger was here, so a lot of baseball history. Lewis and Clark stopped here, so this was a big Lewis and Clark location. A Muhammad Ali museum was here, and I know you like boxing, so that was super fun. There was just so much history here, and I also learned how to taste bourbon in Kentucky, which was really fun. I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit now. We didn't go to Churchill Downs where the Kentucky Derby is held, but we did go to Lexington, which has this Museum of the Horse. It's a Smithsonian museum. It's massive, and they have horse displays, and some of the old winners from the Kentucky Derby live out their lives here. Plus, this area is just beautiful. It really made me want to buy a horse farm. But let's face it, I don't know my Appaloosa from my elbow. Knoxville, Tennessee wasn't on our original list, but there was a comedian named Taylor Tomlinson that was playing here that I really wanted to see. She's so funny. And we stayed in this parking lot near downtown. It was a really cute town, actually. At this point, it was time to get back to nature, and no better place than the Great Smoky Mountains. Although it was kind of cloudy a few days, this was really beautiful. So dense, these areas. Nice waterfalls, great hiking. We took this bike ride around this area called Cades Cove that was beautiful. We saw some black bears in the area. So this was one of our favorite spots. Really beautiful here. We're heading up the Blue Ridge Parkway towards Asheville, North Carolina. And we stop at Biltmore, which was Cornelius Vanderbilt's grandson, built this property and these amazing gardens. They were the most extensive gardens I've ever seen with really unusual plants. Downtown Asheville was quaint and walkable, kind of on my short list of places to retire. if it weren't so far away. We're working our way towards Floyd, Virginia to go to Floyd Country Store, where they host a live music show of this mountain music, and tiny little place, lots and lots of fun.
Making biscuits, baby, make them good and brown. And when I get the biscuits, make them out of baby pound. I got pigs home in the kitchen for to feed them on. All I need is a pretty little cow to feed them while I'm gone. Feed them while I'm gone, and feed them while I'm gone. All I need is a pretty little cow, feed them while I'm gone.
Shenandoah National Park is our next stop, and from here we actually work our way through Shenandoah until we can meet up with Mom in Washington, D.C. That's it for this video. Next stop will be Washington, D.C., and then up towards Montreal. Bye, Grandma.